Andalip Mahmood, counseling psychologist and NLP trainer.
And I'm Priya B, personal strategy coach and NLP trainer with intentionalcoaching.online. Welcome to the second edition of the Roundtable Chat, and welcome to our interview series featuring people who inspire us, who we admire, and who have so much from whom we can learn that we are going to walk away richer as we, unpack experiences and perspectives and insights with amazing people. Um, I would like to first introduce everyone in today's chat. I'm Priya Balaraj. I'm a certified life coach and NLP trainer with intentionalcoaching.online. And I invite my co host, Andalip, to please introduce herself as well.
Hi, Priya.
Hi.
Thank you so much. I'm Andalip Mahmood. I'm counseling psychologist and NLP trainer, and I'm very happy to say that it's a very loving journey and interesting journey with you that we are doing this roundtable chat. And roundtable chat is a place where we all speak together, share together, and we enjoy our journey of life, and we always learn and very being so curious to learn more from our guests. They have various different experiences in their life, and in this way we are enjoying to talk each other and learn the deeper structure of that person, how this person doing this kind of different things in their life. So today we have a special guest with us, Aysan, and I'd like to hear something from Aysan. And Aysan, please share a small intro of yourself so that we can start our today's roundtable chat.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here. Well, an introduction of myself. Hmm. So I am my profession is that I'm an ethnographer and a qualitative researcher, a freelancer. So it's funny, I am normally used to doing these interviews. So I am the one who's asked the questions in my profession. And it's interesting to be on the other side today and to reflect instead of asking and listening. Well, besides my work as a freelance qualitative researcher, I'm also, well, how to say, um, hmm, I'm deeply curious about our human nature and about um, how to um, how to live um, in a way that is mm, connected. Yeah, in connection, because I find that today we have more and more, I don't know, in our modern times, we have this kind of feeling of separation. Maybe I'm the only one who's feeling it, but there's definitely a sense that uh, we are, there's a bit of a shield. Like right now, I'm sitting in a house that is um separating me from the trees. Obviously, it's needed. It's my shelter. Uh, but the separation happens in so many other ways in this modern society. And I'm so deeply curious about uh, ways that we have forgotten.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, Other things I can say about myself, I'm originally from Azerbaijan,
Mhm.
but I live in Sweden. I came to Sweden with my family when I was 7 years old as a refugee.
Mhm.
So I found a way to live here. And I know you both through our 10X program, which is an amazing, inspiring program about how to leverage and cultivate a 10X mindset that is a towards mindset instead of a away from.
Yeah.
And I'm an NLP master practitioner. That's also how we know each other.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's just amazing to continue this journey with both of you and to be here and share.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction of yourself, Aysan. Um, it is, yes, we got to know you through the 10X program and through the world of NLP. And one of the things that stood out to us is how you're someone who has a is very is very intentional about uh, expanding her way of dealing with the world through growing awareness of herself, growing awareness of her resources, and growing awareness of her purpose. Um, so we are very, very excited to explore the topic of our talk today, featuring you, Aizan. The topic of our day of our talk today is "Girl versus Wild," featuring Aizan Fazelian. And we're so excited about it because as we got to know you through our training, one of the things that stood out to us is your decision to participate in surviving in the wilderness, across the seasons of the year. And you mentioned in your introduction that you are you're very concerned about connection with the larger world versus separation. And I think that's a very relevant theme for today's modern lifestyle that all of us tend to get sucked into because, I'm a city dweller. Andalib has mentioned that she's also a city dweller. It's so easy for so many of us to experience separation from the world beyond the confines and comforts of city living. And I really admire how you decided to go head on into the experience of understanding yourself within the wilderness and trusting yourself and growing from that space as a human being. Andalib, what are your thoughts on our topic for today, Girl versus Wild, featuring Aisan?
It's a very nice and interesting topic because it's very new to me. As you shared that I'm living in city, and as a person, I shared before this discussion, I shared with you both that I'm very lazy, and very happy to stay in my comfort zone. But I'm very curious to know how people do this thing differently. And also, as an you are going when you shared your say, journey in the wild, I really want to know what basically happened within you that makes you stay in that different person out of your comfort zone. I'm very curious to know.
Yeah,
And I think it's not only me, say it's a very big question to each and everyone and who are listening. They will enjoy a lot and learn a lot from this.
that is true. And I think a wonderful place to start with is perhaps to just create some context, right? So that we can start our exploration from outside of ourselves and then journey within. So um, perhaps Aizan, you can share with us a little more in terms of the structure of the training you're undergoing and what it involves in terms of, you know, where you go, what kind of environments you find yourself in. Just perhaps just help us understand in our minds a little bit of what it is, what you see, hear, and feel when you do this kind of survival training.
Yes, I can also share. I don't know if I did. The
Mhm.
survival training is in Sweden, in the west, in different parts of Sweden.
Mhm.
So in August, I joined a program that is called Naturliv in Swedish, Nature Life, and we are 22 participants that will meet 5 times across the year, where we stay 7 to 8 or 9 days in the wilderness, in the forests or in the fjords.
Mhm.
Uh, and the way we stay is without a tent or a cottage or something. So we basically put up tarps, or we create our own shelter, and we have a sleeping bag. So we sleep, you know,
Yeah.
outside. And then we practice different ways of, well, living together in the outside and surviving in the outside.
Mm.
And these are five times that we meet. I've had 2 meetings. So I've been out for 2 weeks already, one in the summer and one in the autumn. This is also important, is that we have lots of shifting seasons in the Nordic country. So we make sure to cover the different seasons. How do you actually meet the different seasons?
Mm.
But it's funny when you said girl versus wild. It's like my journey, girl versus wild, started 3 years ago when we moved to this cottage in the forest that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, that's when it started for me. I remember, I was quite naive when we moved here. It was like a little, this dreamy idea. I was pregnant and I thought, oh, how beautiful. We found this cottage in the forest, and it all like, this
Yeah.
idea of living like in alignment with nature. And, so we like bought the place and, came here with so many wonderful expectations. And then, it was in the middle of the winter and you have to chop your own wood in
Oh,
order to
wow.
keep the house warm, So you have to, like, there's a camine
Yeah.
that's now running here, like that's keeping me warm.
Mhm.
So, those, like when you wake up in the morning, it's ice cold.
Mm.
There's no central heating.
Wow. Yeah.
So, like I found myself, getting really anxious, high pregnant, like, whoa, what have I gotten myself into?
Mhm.
I wake up and it's ice cold and like these things. So then it was girl versus wild. I was really feeling like I was versus wild. I was like, oh, gotta beat this cold and gotta do this thing.
Yeah.
But the more time has gone, like it's just been like this incredible like relating, to like, wow, it's such a wonderful thing that every day I have to go chop wood, small wood, and gather wood in order to keep the house warm. It's a really, I love it now.
Wonderful.
So that made me curious about actually surviving in the wild, because I mean, we are still modern here, right? We
Yeah.
have a car, like the house is not that, how to say, it's still comfortable.
Mhm.
But as the years went by, now doing the 3 years, like, whoa, and what about actually, learning to, yeah, like live and survive in the forest,
Mm.
And then I decided to join this program.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. In fact, I feel like even though we haven't yet started talking about the training you underwent, we are already learning some new things here. Because when you moved to your current home 3 years ago, you mentioned that you were pregnant, and at that time you had a sort of an idealized view of what it would be like to live in a forest, right, in a cottage, without modern amenities that so many of us take for granted. And you mentioned that you reached that the cold was one of the immediate things, for example, that you had to suddenly deal with. You developed I guess your actions, especially when involved having to provide yourselves with wood to warm your home. It sounds to me like initially you were like, I got to beat this cold, but it moved towards actually learning to live and develop a sort of system, right, to manage, for example, something as basic as comfortable temperature within your home. So it's there's a sort of a shift in your filters that I can pick up there already. Am I correct? Because you mentioned that curiosity emerged for you, which is such a powerful shift that happened, right? So when you is there and you mentioned the passage of time. So, if you could perhaps just revisit briefly that period of learning that you underwent before in the the first 3 years of your life in the cottage. Um, What was it, when you were dealing with all these tasks of chopping wood and, organizing your life with what was available? Um, were you sort of uh, in the moment, or did you become a planner who stepped away and looked at everything that had to be done from a dissociated position? So I guess in NLP terms, were you addressing your issues in time or through time in order to create the system within which you could look after yourself and your family?
I think there was, I'm not sure, but there was a lot of resistance, you know. So I started to like question the whole thing and say, what are we doing? It's like 25 minutes, 30 minutes drive to the nearest shop, you know, if we
Mm.
need something. And
Yeah.
uh, so, yeah, I think this was a really gradual thing to start to like see, oh, yeah, you know what happened is that I started to see more and more small little shifts in the, um, in this, in the yard, which is a forest.
Mm.
I started to see little, like the trees, like changing colors, or the birds. I started to notice the subtle things around,
Mm.
and that I wouldn't notice, you know, when I was traveling a lot or living in the city. You know, I would just be like, oh, now it's autumn. Now the trees are gone. You know, I just saw the small little shifts around me,
Mm.
and I think that slowly invited me to live with the land. You know,
Mm.
uh, instead of like versus the land, or like, you know,
I love that. Yeah.
embrace the cold, embrace the seasons, embrace this like,
Mm.
as I said, this Sweden is very seasonal, like 4 seasons, like or more, to
Yeah.
really live cyclically. But
Yeah.
you know, one thing that I still miss, and I have been missing for 3 years,
Hmm.
is to live together in the land, with the land. You know, we are here alone. I mean, we have like, if you walk 10 minutes, we have some we have some neighbors that we really love.
Hmm.
Uh, but I really miss the feeling of community, and I still do,
Mm.
you know. And that's why this training, in the survival training in the wild, has been
Mm.
so incredibly nourishing. And also our 10x program that it's been so incredibly nourishing just to be together as a community and
Yeah.
to learn together. You know, that's just like, that was something I didn't sign up for the survival program to get that. I
Mm.
was signed up to like learn how to make fire, learn how to like, you know, what plants I can eat in case I need to eat them, you know, how to kill a fish,
Yeah.
how to like, skin my own reindeer,
Mm.
um, how to make a shelter in the rain and the wind,
Yeah.
how to read the destination, the which way the wind is blowing.
Mm.
But what I like, what I came home with is this feeling of like, wow, I feel so nourished by the people that I spent the week with together. We did this together, you know,
Mm.
and that reminded me, as humans, we are not loners. You know, we are like, how do you call it? Flockdjur. We are uh, we live there. We've always lived together as humans,
Yeah.
unless you're a monk, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was a really big teaching for me, and that's the gift of the city.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It can be
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah. But one can be lonely in the city as well. So
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
addressing is something so priceless for any
mm,
human being in the planet, that the power that comes with a deep connection with community. And
mm,
thank you for sharing what you have so far, because um, what we're witnessing, I feel, is, the topic is about survival, right? Girl
mm.
versus wild. But thank you so much for already proving our topic wrong, which is something we love to do in our talk show, because it's not girl versus wild that's emerging, it's girl with wild.
With what? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She from moving away from a moving away filter, she started to talk about embracing the world around her, embracing the cold, embracing seasons.
Mm.
And that seems to also bring up values like gratitude, right? Within what you're experiencing. You mentioned how you started to notice subtle things. That is incredible. The levels of perception that started to emerge, a sort of a growth in your perception of the world around you. And thank you for showing us what it's like to move from surviving to thriving. That is so beautiful. And thank you for bringing up the importance of community. Because we are not just talking about hanging out with people in a detached manner. We're talking about communing with people, right? And building a sort of a connection through shared experience and on all the values that you're bringing up of gratitude, of a curiosity, right?
Mm.
Imagine experiencing that with others who are in the exact same situation as we are. That's a wonderful way to build community. Andalib, I invite you to share what has come up for you as well from what she has revealed so far.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to listen to Azan, that the curiosity she has from the learning from the world, that is very different. And also, mm, it brings up lots of thing in my mind, because as a human being, we think that this is the daily life, that waking up from bed, going to office, this is the daily life. But beyond that, there is a line. And as we're talking about the wildlife today, the surviving in the wild, that is totally different. And there's so many things we have to learn from our nature. We have to learn from wild.
Mm.
And as you coming up the community in the wild, in the nature, there is another community, another nature, language, spirituality, everything is there. And I'm very curious to know, as you're sharing about your curiosity of learning new things, surviving in the different situation. Where is this different curiosity coming from within you?
Where it is coming from?
Yes.
Mm. Such a deep question. I think it is coming from well, partially a place of knowing that, or wondering that, what else is there, and also a question of my own identity, like who am I, where do I belong, coming from Azerbaijan, and then finding my way in Sweden, and this whole, like, what we speak about NLP identity level. Like, who am I? I think that's where the curiosity comes from, and what is all of this, and that journey has taken me to, like, oh, somehow, I think it's not just me. I think we have a global movement now of people more and more being curious about like tending to all our relations, tending to this, like, the environment, the natural nature around us. And that curiosity is also, like, it's a little bit, it's killed, I find, at least in my case, with like, in this, like, mechanical technological world for me, so yeah, it's I think it's really important and interesting to see, like, how can we keep this curiosity alive, and to see what we can learn from our environment, that all our ancestors knew, that is knowledge that is lost to us,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing how you're sort of maintaining and continuing a legacy that is thousands of years old as humanity, if you think about it. And I feel already through this conversation a sort of a connection again with lost knowledge, lost awareness. And it's a very powerful reminder you're giving us about what true curiosity looks like. Andalip, thank you for bringing up that question. I thought it was a brilliant question. And Aysan, thank you for sharing what curiosity actually means in the bigger picture, right? It's an expansion of self. And thank you. I think I can see now how your what the program that you're participating in, that involves, experiencing the seasons in their raw form in the forest with the participants of your survival program. I can see how for you that seems to represent your next level with the journey that you've been on, back to, finding yourself in your purest form. Could you and I think you mentioned that you were made to only equip yourselves with a tarpaulin. Am I right? No tent. You were allowed sleeping bags. There was some basic food accessible for you, I think. But you did mention about catching fish and learning how to make it something you could eat, right? So could you perhaps build up a little more context about what it was like when you went into the forest with this community and put yourself out there in the elements with very little to separate you from them?
Yeah. Actually, those who felt really uncomfortable were allowed to bring tent, but I
Um,
chose not to. So,
wow.
and yeah, so we in the first meeting when it was summer, we were learning to put out these fish nets, and we would go out with our canoes and put them out in the lake, and then we'd come back at the end of the evening and we'd sing songs also,
Wow.
about like maybe today we would catch fish,
Mhm.
and then we'd go back, the day after, and then with excitement to see, which nets have caught fish, and
Mm.
the first one, oh no fish, whoa. The second one, oh no fish. The third one, whoa, so many, and some of them still a little bit alive, and then we had to basically, I mean, this, a lot of people maybe in the world are used to like killing fish and killing chickens, and
Yeah.
but for me, like I had no experience of this, so I had to you know, hold this fish that's still vibrating life and feel
Yeah.
it, and um, you know, kill it and prepare it
Mm.
and eat it. And this is like I was like, oh my god, this is the most basic thing that has been lost to me.
Yeah.
I go to the store to get my fish.
Yeah.
I have no connect in that way. I have no connection to the
Mm.
fish that I'm eating.
Yeah.
Um, so
So that's incredible. You were able to connect with the true source of nourishment, right? That has fed people for so
yeah,
long.
yeah,
And
and
it was an
big
immersive
also.
learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Another example of just, is like making fire. The first summer meeting we're allowed matches. The second meeting we're not allowed matches. So we only had to
Wow.
make fire we made these friction fires
Yeah.
with a bow drill, like an
Yeah.
ancient method.
Hmm.
And there also it's like, whoa, I take it so for granted. I just light a lighter and fire comes out of it.
Yeah.
But our ancestors, it's like there is it's like, whoa, this is how fire is made by
Mm.
friction.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
um, it's really insane. And this is not so long ago that we had these knowledges, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
I'll tell you this, Aysan. If ever the world shuts down tomorrow thanks to a solar flare or a meteor strike, I would want someone like you by my side. Trust me, too, because this is important. This is so critical to our knowledge, and like you said, hopefully it doesn't get lost through modernity, right? Through the march of the modern world, and yeah, so I can see that your knowledge, the expansion of your skills, and it sounds to me like you're also connecting with things within you that perhaps when there was a sort of a new connection being formed with resources that perhaps you didn't know you had or that you hadn't tapped into in normal
mhm.
life. Did you feel, what was it like to find resources and skills within you during all these moments?
Yeah, I mean, I could say, making fire with a friction fire is like, we don't really need it. We're gonna have fire. What is the chances that we really need it?
Yeah.
Um, but what it showed me is that is a sense of empowerment, and also I am resourceful.
Mm.
I am resourceful.
I love that. Yeah.
I can create, like, resource comes from me,
Mm.
uh, and I'm not saying we're robbed from this from modern society, but it's so cool to be like, wow, I can do this. Usually when we're out camping and stuff, I always, my partner, I look at my partner to fix up the tent and, fix up the stuff. And, he's the handy one and
Yeah.
knows all about these things. And it's amazing to uh, feel that empowerment that I too know this,
Yeah.
especially as a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so inspiring. I love that
Right.
statement. I am resourceful.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
powerful that
And
you can. Yeah, go ahead, Andila. Please go ahead.
yeah, and as I was saying that you are resourceful and you make impossible things to possible, like fishing, making fire. So when these kind of different things, you could do it in in the different situation, and you really really enjoy that things, that new things, learning. What happens then? That you can catch fish now, you can make fire without the lighter. What happens now?
Well, let me tell you, I can't do those things yet, so I'm very much practicing.
Yeah.
The fire thing is hard, huh?
Mm.
I'm like, I need to be three people in order to do that. So our teacher, he's amazing. Like, he's been practicing, I don't know, for decades. He
Mm.
knows how to do that. So, but I'm practicing, and what happens now? Um, Practice happens.
Practice.
Practice,
Yeah.
is it like,
Mm.
um, yeah. And what
I-
comes of practice, cultivating, self-cultivation. It's like,
Self.
okay, how do I want to cultivate myself
Yeah.
through this practice?
Self cultivation.
Self
Yeah,
cultivation.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what comes out of the practice. And then, I don't say, oh, you have to now start learning about friction fire in order to cultivate yourself. I think everybody has a different way of cultivating self.
Hmm.
Uh, like NLP is a way where we learn to cultivate ourselves by, learning the structure of language and thoughts.
Yeah.
Uh, or, like, you can cultivate yourself through, like, food, or like learning, different ways.
Yeah.
So I don't say like everybody should have this way. But one thing I think everybody should and is ready to take on is this deepening our connection with the elements, with the earth.
Mm.
That we are not separate from it. We come from it now. I call it it because I don't know, we can, some call it mother, some call it, but
Mm.
yeah, I say
Yeah.
it now.
That is
Uh,
cool.
yeah, and through that, like, through cultivating that relationship, I
Mm.
think we can, some of that restlessness that we feel
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
might, uh, yeah.
That is so powerful. What I'm noticing here is it's not just about self-knowledge, it's about self-cultivation and
Hmm.
with intention, on purpose. Because that is, it's wonderful how you're eliminating self-imposed limits with what you choose to do. You're connecting with choice. Um, and you're seeing the bigger picture. You're seeing yourself connecting with the world, with the earth, right?
Hmm.
With the source. You're describing a really 10x state of oneness that
Hmm.
that seems to be a very powerful position to be yourself. Am I correct?
Yeah. But also I have to just say, like, my partner always reminds me of this, that, like, it's not going to solve all my problems just, hugging trees. Like,
Oh,
there's also some
you're doing more than hugging trees, Aysan. Come on.
like spiritual bypassing, that there is also, like, the work here and now in the you know, like the beautiful work that you do, Priya, about like actually like trauma, you know, working with whatever is actually happening, working with the triggers, you know. So I think it's like twofolded, both like tending to the relationship, with with the elements,
Mhm.
but also just doing our work, you know, doing like with the help of NLP, for example, in my case, you know,
Mhm.
doing the work that's needed in order to, yeah, be well.
Yeah, yeah. It's what's amazing from what you just shared is it's not just about doing work, it's about the state of doingness, right? I love the state that you're describing of being the doing, right?
Mm.
So that's very powerful, and that sounds like something one can embody in day-to-day life wherever they are, in order to connect with their true self, to cultivate themselves and to find their strengths and feel integrated as a whole. So
Mm.
thank you for sharing that. And I can understand how everything you've done so far is allowing you this wisdom, it's giving you this wisdom that you're generously sharing with us today. So thank you for that. Um, one question that comes up is, as you do all this, what is important about it for you, at your core?
Ooh. Mm. Mm. Wow, that's such a good question. I think it's just what everybody, you know, what everybody wants is like being well, you know, living a healthy, vibrant life,
Mm,
uh, instead of a life that is, as opposed to a life that is detached or, uh, you know, being sick or, you know, being in good health, being in good wealth, you know,
yeah,
and yeah, and of course, you know, life has its ups and downs. I mean, this is what I love about living with the land is that, like right now, everything around me is dead, like, you know, or dead. Well, the trees are bare, and you know, there's a cycle to everything. You know, you have it's like some days are hard, and then comes beautiful, and then you know, it's like
mm,
it's just this is how nature works. So why shouldn't it work for us? Why do I always want the summer?
yes,
Being well doesn't mean like always being happy. Just being, you know, um, being in trust, and yeah,
being
yeah,
in trust.
yeah.
Beautiful. I love
But
that, being in trust.
yeah, one thing I want to share with you is like one of the experiences I had. And now we've chunked up a lot as we chunk down.
Yeah.
I it was like a really so we don't have mirrors out there,
Ah,
you know.
yes. Yeah.
I hadn't seen myself in the mirror for a whole week last time now and the time before.
Mm-hmm.
And so there on my way, I every day I used to pass this gigantic oak tree. It's like huge, old, crooked, like oak tree. I don't know how old it is, but it was really magnificent. And every day I used to pass it, and compulsively I had to just stop and stare at it, you know,
Yeah.
be like, whoa, this thing is huge, you know, and I would just observe it and notice it every day. And then towards the end of the week, I realized like, oh, towards the end of the week, there was one sunny day and my shadow was cast on the oak tree.
Mm.
And I realized like, whoa, the NLP presupposition that what you see, you know, mirrors, you know,
Yeah.
structures
Yes.
you.
Yes.
My God, this whole week, the oak tree was my mirror.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And like, I didn't have a real mirror, you know, bathroom mirror. So I would just watch this oak, and that was such a revelation. I only realized it at the end of the week. Like,
Hmm.
oh, and you know, thanks to the NLP practice, I could
Yeah.
uh, give it a language what I had experienced. This is what I love
So,
about NLP, you know, and yeah, that was a huge revelation, you know. So when I came back home, I looked myself in a real mirror and I saw that my eyes were glowing. And I, of course, you're very tired. I was very tired and gloomy. Not gloomy, but
Mm.
after a whole week, you're kind of worn out.
Yes. Yeah.
But I just saw the glow in my eyes, and I thought about the oak tree, like that I was not criticizing its old age and wrinkles, and it's like
Yeah.
different parts were like were not
Yeah.
some parts were like broken, and
Yeah.
I was just admiring it for all its glory.
Yeah.
And so now when I try to I look myself in the mirror, and I find myself criticizing something,
Yeah.
I just try to remember the oak. It's like, and that was such a unexpected gift in
Course,
this
of
midst of
course.
the survival week.
You modeled the oak, the strong, a tree that represents power and the passage of time and wisdom and endurance, and you modeled it in the absence of a mirror. I love how you are comparing the mirror, the reflection of a mirror. You're comparing it to that of what the shadow on the oak does to you, right?
Mm.
How it led to an incredible experience of modeling yourself after something that continues to empower you from the sound of it, even after that experience. So, Andale, what are your thoughts on what she just shared?
Yes. So it's a very interesting thing that you are finding similarity, that same not to the way of similarity you find the mirror in the oak tree. So in that case, I really experienced that we have nature within us.
Yeah,
And as we have the nature within us, we have the nature power, nature resources within us. Because what we learn, basically, we learn from nature.
yeah,
Mm.
And nature is something, it has its own way of speaking, acting, and also connecting. So in this way, as you stay in a long time in this nature, the wild, is there anything matches you find within yourself with nature and wild?
That matches.
mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
I got a really nice practice or something. This is our homework from our teacher. I like to share that. Maybe that
Of
can
course.
inspire somebody also.
Mhm.
Is you can learn to match this matching, and you can cultivate
Ah,
that through choosing, like, instead of studying the whole of nature,
Mhm.
you can choose, oh, what is it called in English? A companion. So you choose one plant that you follow. Well, our homework is we choose one plant that we follow for a whole year.
Mm.
Or you can look at it even more mysterious. The plant chooses you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you can do this even you in the city. There's a lot of people who is in the survival program that live in the city.
Mhm.
And so the homework is that we choose one plant that we just observe,
I see.
like I did with the oak. We just try to do it as often as we can. Our thing is every day, but it doesn't have to be, I guess.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
more you are with this plant, the better. It
Mm.
can even be a plant in your home, or it can be a tree that you pass every day towards work.
Mhm.
And all you have to do is just observe it, notice it,
Yeah.
and then see, form a relationship with it.
Mm.
And so I, since the oak made such an impact for me, I chose the oak.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the oak, yeah, I'm still, um, you know, I'm just a few months in now. Well, not even. Um, I'm now on almost, yeah, it's been a month and a half.
Mm.
So I have the whole year still to form a relationship with this oak.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the answer to this question after a year, when I've got to learn this oak.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that was such a beautiful practice. It's like, wow, everybody can do this.
Yeah.
And through that, we can deepen our relationship. What do you think about this? Is this something that sounds
I
interesting for you to
I
take
love
on?
I love what you mentioned about the plant finding us.
Hmm.
It's sort of like opening ourselves to letting things pull us towards it as well, right? It's a sort of a trusting kind of behavior that we are allowing ourselves to experience. I'm only saying this because I'm looking at my pet hibiscus plant right there on the balcony. And I fuss over that plant. I'm attached to it. I'm very fond of it. And if something happened to tomorrow, I would grieve for it like I would for a beloved pet. So I'm looking at it right now, and I'm getting what you're talking about. What I love about what you're advising and sharing is to do it with intention. It is
Mhm.
such an easy to apply piece of advice from you based on what you have experienced yourself through these
Mm.
situations, and I can see how we can extend beyond just our limited selves. We can make ourselves a lot more expansive in our awareness and our state of being by letting in a plant or an oak tree, as in your case, which is incredible. So
Mm.
what a great
Mm.
perspective and what a great piece of advice for us. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And I also like to add that while listening to you, Priya and Azan, as Priya is giving an example that the bed beside a tree beside your bed, and Azan is telling that a oak tree, you were reflecting your shadow in the oak tree.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking about that. That tree is rooted for us,
Mm.
and it's a very good similarity with us also. We as a family member, in a community, as a member of the community, we all take rooted for each other.
Yeah.
So we have great similarity with plant.
Yeah.
And you were very lucky, Razan, that you spent your time and you survived there with this kind of nature mother and this kind of things. You can observe it so closely
Yeah.
and you can get the essence of that.
Yeah.
Mm, you are lucky, and we both are lucky to hear this kind of stories, this kind of survival techniques, learning from you, and you inspire both of us a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for helping us reconnect with that perspective, which is so easy to forget in day-to-day life in the modern world. And I love that you are connecting this also to NLP, Aizan, because as a master practitioner, you're,
Mm.
when a master practitioner approaches nature the way you have, wow, we get to learn so much structure from from you about what is possible within us, right? So thank you so much for that. Um, One thing I wanted to visit, because I think you had mentioned it to us, to mention it to me in passing in an earlier conversation about what happened to you in terms of your senses when you were a few days into being the realm of nature, pure
Mm.
nature. You mentioned something about your senses being heightened in a unique way. Could you please explain that awareness for us that you gained?
Yeah, gained and lost a little bit, I was gonna say.
Oh,
But so it's um so we don't need to be so heightened with our senses in our current
mm,
life, right?
mhm,
In the modern way. But yeah, out there it was like when I have to walk back to my shelter in the night.
mhm,
Um, like I hear everything was very very clearly. My hearing was super sharp. Also, like just noticing like if there is something behind me or something next to me. Um, yeah, it's. I think this is something that we all have. We just have to be out. I mean, maybe you can even relate to it when you go out and take a walk. You have the same feeling probably, where you are just, if there's something coming behind you, or this is just, this is our biology, our nature, our birthright.
yeah,
uh, and by just being out, or even like in the city, we can practice this.
yeah,
And I think we tend to shut these senses to in order to, otherwise it's too much information, like in the modern world.
yeah,
Whereas when we're out in the forest, it's
yeah. That's true. That's true.
making
I think what you're saying is so valuable today because we tend to lock ourselves to devices and through virtual reality in a way. And that
Mm.
problem seems to be getting worse over time, right? As they bring on the headsets and all by all these big corporations. But guess what? We live in a rich world of actual reality. And we are equipped with highly refined senses to let in this reality into ourselves and heighten our awareness. So when I think what I was wondering, why do people feel the need for gadgets? Why do they feel the need for virtual reality glasses and all these distractions when the world itself is replete with so much information for us to absorb in so many forms, and we are equipped with the most heightened of senses, right? Sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Imagine being a being that allows that to just let the real data flow in, the expansion that comes from within, like how you described, right? Your oneness with the world around you, and this, I guess, the expansion of your awareness, and you're connecting with your identity, right? I am resourceful. When we that statement you mentioned, I am resourceful, which is at the level of identity. Is there more that comes up when you think about that? I am resourceful.
Resources all around me.
I see that. As without, so within.
Yeah, another thing that we're learning in the survivor training is that different plants and different uses of the plants, and I was like, my goodness, like this one is for headache, this one is for if I have a wound, this one is for something else. There's so much resource around me that I had no idea about, you know. I thought I had to go to the pharmacy to get these resources, you know.
That's a wonderful reminder that the world is resourceful, and if we mirror the world, we are resourceful too. That is what a beautiful takeaway. Andale, what are your thoughts on this? This is so beautiful.
Yeah. And we are modeling our resources to each other.
Yes.
And that is the main uh, outcome of this roundtable chat. That we have all the resources within us. And from this roundtable chat, we are modeling, experiencing, and unpacking the structure of resources of each person.
Absolutely.
And I really relate with it, with me, that you, as you shared, that learning from nature and in the survival situation, that is the core structure of yourself. It can be happening in different situation. Maybe someone is not in the wild, maybe someone's in the sea, maybe someone in the difficult situation in real life, personal life, professional life, relationship. Same structure is within us, the resource is within us. Whatever the difficult situation I am facing, I have that resource to overcome. That is the mindset. I really find out that that is the true mindset of human being. Uh, I'm I'm the king of myself. And as I have the resources, you mentioned several times that resources all around, resources within me. I really love it. And I really love to say this thing from this roundtable chat to each and everyone who are listening to us, that we have all the resources. We don't need to find it. We don't need to search it. We find it and search it within ourselves so that survival things can be easier for us and we can survive each and every situation and also help each other. That is very interesting.
That's amazing. Yeah. And one more thing I would love to thank Aysan for. Aysan is a gifted photographer, and she used her opportunity of being one with nature during her training experience to take photographs, and was kind enough to allow us to feature these photographs in the video montage that goes with this podcast. So um, Aysan, as a photographer, what was that experience like for you?
Well, actually, you know, it's funny because I didn't count that it was going to be so cold, so my batteries only lasted.
Oh
You
dear.
know, all just, but I managed to get some shots before, you know, it was too cold for the camera to make it. But yeah, beautiful. You know, so much light to capture. I can't wait to put it on the
Oh,
put it
we
on this.
can't.
So
Thank you so much for sharing them. And these are very valuable photos because they happened at a time when you were, you know, connecting with your true self. And as a photographer, I'm sure that led to real moments of inspiration. Am I right? So moments of intuitiveness, perhaps. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And I encourage anyone who watches the video feed of this podcast on YouTube to take a look at the photos that we're going to upload side by side with this podcast. So amazing work. Um, Aizan, I think we have reached the end of our talk today, and we are walking away so much richer thanks to everything you've shared. I think you have 3 more encounters with the natural world coming up, and I love that you've connected us with the importance of curiosity, with the importance of community, you've with the mindset of gratitude, with the oneness that one experiences with powerful aspects of nature, such as the oak tree, um, with the importance of practice, which I love the intentionality with that seems to come out when you talk about the importance of practice, of self cultivation, and of these are and noticing things. You talk about how things come to you through an enhanced ability to notice, not just look, not just observe, but notice. And there's an openness that seems to come with that, and embracing the world as it is rather than creating barriers, which many of us tend to do. How amazing is what you're depicting for us as a 10x state of being by leveraging survival training like you're doing and turning it into thriving training, if I might say so. Andalab,
Yeah,
yeah, please.
yeah. I can resist myself to share one thing and add one thing with you. That is, Aysan is very much towards to embracing mismatches.
Yeah, yeah,
As she shared her life, the journey of her life, that moving from I think Azerbaijan, you shared Azerbaijan to Sweden, then city life to cottage, then
yeah,
cottage to wild.
yes,
What a great transformation, Aysan.
yeah,
And that is the main thing I really, really respect you, that embracing mismatch is something very difficult to us, but it's a resource, it's a skill for us.
yeah,
We welcome mismatches, embracing mismatches, that is very helpful.
yeah. That's so well pointed out. Thanks, Andalab. Um, Aizan, do you have any
Thanks,
final
Priya,
comments? Yeah,
Aiza, both of you.
thank you. Any final thoughts from Aizan, perhaps?
Just the last thing I wanted to share is, Andalib, when you were sharing about the being resourceful, is also just this idea that resource is also amongst us. We're
Yes.
not resources amongst us, like in the community. If we look around, there is resource everywhere,
Mhm.
not just within me, but also in the community. And then it's just the courage to reach out for that help, for the resource. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been wonderful
Thank
to
you.
share and process. And
Yeah, it's been an enjoyable talk with you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Andalib, for co-hosting as well. And yeah, we look forward to reconnecting again in the future, perhaps after you complete the remaining 3 sessions of the training that you're undergoing and learning even more from you in the future. So thanks, Aisan. And yeah, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Bye. Bye for now.